Welcome back to the Sunday Roast, round 18. After a massive round of footy, I can't wait to review it. With me, Jake Stampow, Stoi, our man. He was on the pod on Friday. He had a good week. He went to the footy and overtook the Insta on Saturday. Stoi, how are you, sir?
Oh, look, I'm a bit dusty after yesterday. Those are the full strength, Jeff. They get the better of you, and I didn't have my best week on the 100k pod, so it's been a nice back to reality. I think it's a good time for dust to come back.
We just all had a mare on the 100k pod, unfortunately. A lot of our legs that we just death taxes, like Pendle's 20, Cogs 25. He only had 23. Just so many legs just didn't hit this week. Did you have a couple that you put in a bit stiff? Jez Cameron didn't kick 2. He kicked 1 goal 3.
Yeah, Sicily didn't get anywhere near 25. And I was like, they were like my bankers. I was happy with Isaac Smith 20. But I was just dancing all around it. Didn't back myself for Dan McStay 2. Didn't back myself for Mitch Lewis 3. And that's probably cost me a lot of my street cred that I've just been building.
That's all right, mate. You got to have street cred. Yeah, what are some other losers? John DeGoey he didn't kick a goal.
Yeah, I know. I was watching the whole game. I was like, sure.
Zach Butters didn't get 25 again. Either did Adam Chera. Don't know if I...
Yeah, Chera, yeah. I think it's just one of those weeks. You've almost got to just give yourself a moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Just forget that it's happening.
Back. Dart's going to come in hot with some legs, so it's going to be a good week. Right, let's get into the game. So all the way back to Thursday night, Swans versus Dogs. Liver kicked the first. Swans won by 2 points, Stoi. I'll go on this one as a Swans supporter. I'll go first on this one.
The new Cherry, mate.
So, as a Swans supporter, it was good to see us win. I'm glad we won, but it just did not fix any of our underlying issues at all. It was actually a really good game of the Dogs playing contest, being contested ball, clearance balls. Liver and Bont were absolutely fantastic versus the Swans ball movement. Blakey out of the half-back line. Errol Gould's one of the best kicks in the cop. Braden Campbell, and then kicking it to an open forward line, and we got the chocolates. It was a good game. It could have gone either way with the way the stats went, but the problem with the Swans is last year we were just all ball movement, and we made a grand final off being so good at moving the ball from one end to the other, but on grand final day it all came home to roost that we're just not big enough, not tough enough, not contested enough, and we got smashed this year. But we won this game, but I'm glad we're not going to make finals because we've got to address it in the preseason. We've got to get a bigger body midfielder, toughen the boys up a bit. Because if we made finals this year, we might think, we lost to Port Adelaide by 2 points. We lost to GWS by 1 point. We were down by a point with a minute to go to Richmond. We might feel sorry for ourselves, but I reckon it stands out like dog balls. We're not tough enough. We don't want to sneak into 8, win a final and think we're good enough. We're in the premiership business. I think the Swans are a premiership challenging team. So I'm glad we're going to miss the finals and get back into it, toughen up a little, have a massive preseason, and have a crack for the premiership again next year. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the game?
Oh, it was a cracker game to watch, and you just Bont was superhuman. He was just I don't know where your pyramid is, but he's got to be on that second run with probably I think maybe Petrarca because he was 2 goals, 30 touches, and he just looked like a man who was just willing his team to win. But it's a big loss from the Dogs. I mean, they're 7th now on the ladder. If they had won that, they would have been a game behind the D's, fighting for 4th. And yeah, you're right about the Swans because I had down here, are they going to make finals? And if they do, they might be coming up against Geelong in the 5th spot. Whoever finishes 8th is going to probably play Geelong in the first final. And that might even be a GMHBA. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Heaney in the preseason. I think he's the one you've probably got to unlock. A bit more.
Definitely. I hope we go after Brodie Grundy. I hope we have a crack at Brodie Grundy, but it's hard. Obviously Melbourne will want to keep him, but if he says, if I'm not playing first 22 football every single week, then I want to move on, and Melbourne go, yeah, we can't guarantee that. I can't remember the last time the Swans had a gun ruckman, a genuine gun ruckman. We've used Cal Sinclair, we've used Naismith, who had knee injuries. Tom Hickey is a fill-in who had a really good season last year, but it wasn't since, what's his name? Darren Ball in, 506.
There was did Jolly play for you guys?
Yeah, Darren Jolly. Yeah, sorry, Darren Jolly, Jason Ball. It wasn't since then.
Yeah.
We've had a really...
And even them, they're not bona fide rucks.
I'd really like Brodie Grundy. There's other things I'd like. I'd like the Swans to fucking throw Nick Natanui a 1-year deal if we think we're in the premiership window, but I'd like us to go after Brodie Grundy, especially because Collingwood are paying. Then potentially Melbourne are paying him, and we might nearly get him if we trade for him for borderline.
Yeah.
So
And like they're playing Grundy forward in the twos,
yeah,
but like next year he's not taking Van Ruin's spot. Like Van Ruin's going to be got too much scope to be a good player for him to be sitting playing twos because then someone's going to come up and give him the Luke Jackson contract and then he's gone.
yeah. I've said this over and over again. Like whatever we think of Nick Dacos as the best player in the AFL, but if I could have one player in the AFL at the Swans, it'd either be Tom Green from GWS or Clayton Oliver, like the two contested big body bulls, or Bont probably. But I have a feeling, I reckon the Swans, just knowing our history of sort of landing big fish, I reckon we'll get in the Harley Reid sweepstakes, Stoi.
Yeah, that'd be enormous.
We've got 3 WA boys, Chad Warner, Angus Sheldrick, Logan McDonald. We would never trade Chad. But if you think we get pick 4, pick 5, if we're offering pick 5 and Logan McDonald, maybe Angus Sheldrick, to get that number 1 pick off West Coast,
Be huge.
I reckon we're a chance. But I'm sure
and they love a marquee player.
So, who knows? And then the Dogs were absolutely filthy after the game. Bob was furious walking off the field. I felt for him.
Yeah, he's easy for that. And so does Liver.
They probably should have won that, but they didn't. And now people are talking about how they might miss the finals. They're lucky. The Bombers lost. Who else lost? St Kilda lost. And Adelaide lost. They're lucky those 3 lost.
You look, this logjam is unbelievable. I'm just looking at the ladder now. It's going to be tight. Makes for some good watching coming up.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? You just can't drop a game. Like if the Blues make finals, I'll be shocked. But we were wrong about them, Stoi. We'll get to that. Next game, Melbourne Brisbane. Neil Bullen kicks the first at 23-1. Melbourne come from the clouds and win by a point. Talk to me, Stoi.
Hoyney's not going to be happy with this for those who listen to his best work. He won't be able to believe it. In the first half, looked like Lions are just absolutely dominating. Joey Danaher, 24 touches and 5 scoring shots. He's probably almost the most important player for Brisbane going forward. I think he's the one that can probably actually win them the flag or win them a prelim. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. The D's just flicked a switch and it started with Gawn. I think he really relishes being the 1A and only the 1A in the Melbourne's ruck. Like he had 20, what did he have? 29 and a goal and 39 hit outs. And he was just special. He was special. Petrarca 4 goals. So they had their A-graders doing A-grade things. And geez, with Clary to come back, they're still a team you don't want to play in September, I don't think.
I think they've got the perfect list of May and Lever, the centre-half backs. Gawn, the best ruckman in the comp. Clary, the best contested ball winner in the comp. And then they just lack a forward. I bet they wish Van Ruin had come on a bit more. But who knows if it's Brodie Grundy and Petrarca down there, like you never know. If Petrarca plays like Dusty did in those premiership years and he gets 50 to himself, they'll kick enough goals to win finals for sure.
Yeah, I reckon they've got Spargo and James Jordan and stuff, and they're probably just saying, look, boys, like same as Lambert for Richmond. This is your way in the team. Yeah. This is how you're going to hold on to your spot. Let Petrarca be Petrarca, and that can win them a flag. He's a Norm Smith, walking Norm Smith now. So he's already won one.
You can see him having an exact Dusty grand final day. 3 goals, 25 touches. Everything he touches turns to gold. I was listening to Kingy on SEN the other day, and he said any touch Petrarca gets in the defensive 50 is 1 touch too many. It shouldn't cross halfway anymore. It should be he's at centre bounces and he's forward. And when he goes forward, that's when Spargo gets on his bike and goes and covers him. Like the way Nat Fife on a Brownlow when Mzungu and De Boer used to go cover his ass, and then Lambert and Castagna used to go cover Dusty's ass. Let Petrarca just play the forward half. He'll kick 3. Yeah. Like when Dusty kicks 7 against Brisbane in a big final, I can see Petrarca doing that if he doesn't have the right matchup.
And he like the other thing you think about that, and you kind of forget with like he's so explosive that he's going to be so much more fresher instead of just like going contest to contest, that he's going to be able to explode through. I think I put on the map last week or a couple of weeks before when I was on the pod. Charlie Cameron is really out of touch.
Out of form.
He finished with 2, but he hasn't played the Charlie Cameron game in, I would say in like 2 months, where he's looked lively and springy. So I don't know. I think out of the top 4, I reckon probably Geelong and Melbourne out of the rest of the 8 are probably the ones that are the big dangers for Collingwood.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm looking at some odds here. So for Petrarca to kick 4, he paid 10-1, which is bloody nice. Cosy Pickett for 3 was $5.10. Max Gaunt for 25 was 7-1, and then for 30 was 26-1, which would have been nice to get that 30, 26-1, but he was one touch off. Jack Gunston played well, but they got that him going behind the ball wrong in the last quarter, didn't they? Saw a bit on the Sunday Footy Show today. As soon as he went behind the ball, Langdon went and stood on him, and then he was trying to get another Brisbane player to come down, and they weren't doing it. And like all of a sudden, he didn't impact that contest. Melksham took the mark on. Melksham kicks the goal, and basically cost him the game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how many of those players in the team, like I know Melksham didn't play in the flag. They just need a few people that didn't play in the flag that will still be hungry enough to kind of get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. And then, as you said about Joe Danaher, like when he's bad, he is so bad and horrible to watch, and you're like, this bloke sucks. But when he's on, he's up the ground, he's kicking, he kicks it like 60 metres on the run. He's on the forward line. He's lively. He's a bloody good player, dangerous player. Like he kicked 2 goals, 3. He could have been the match winner. Probably left some goals out there. 24 touches, 2 goals, 3. Like that is a big day.
Yeah, he's a gun.
That was a good game. Melbourne kicked the first 4 goals of the game. Then it was all Brisbane, and then Melbourne kicked the last 4 goals of the game, got it done, and Brisbane's woes, their MCG woes just continue. Next game, Collingwood versus Freo. Pendles kicks the first couldn't bet on him. You couldn't bet on Pendles kick first. Pies by 46 points. You were there. I watched the whole game on TV, so you go first, Stoi.
Oh, I tell you, with the Bundaberg bet, and because it took 10 minutes for the first goal, and I was sitting there like losing the plot. I swear I started sweating and cramping. I was that nervous. But literally, the Freo had a good crack play for the first quarter, and then it was like the Pies just got their game going in forward run. And watching it live, like, yeah, they're fit as. Like, they're so fit. But it just seems like teams are so scared to give Collingwood the ball that they just go really slow and conservative. Then as soon as they get it, they're off to the races. I think Johnny Noble someone's got to put work into it because the man had like 10 at the quarter time, and I don't know what they're thinking. So I think there's whoever's going to play Collingwood, there's a lot of players to stop, I guess, but it's going to be pretty tough. And the Dacos boys just go from strength to strength. Like Nick just takes the piss.
Yeah.
Just watching him, he's so fit, and his skills and his ability to pick targets left and right foot is just all time.
Oh, he is unbelievable for any player, but for a 19-year-old. I'll tell you what I noticed watching this game, Stoi. How big-bodied Collingwood are. They made Freo look like little boys. So obviously, I first noted it when Maynard laid those 2 bone-crushing tackles in the first.
It was in front of me. It was huge.
Then I looked at the build. So Pendles, DeGoey, Crisp, Taylor Adams, Isaac Quaynor, and Braden Maynard, and then Josh Dacos Steele side bottom. Just the size, like their back to chest, the size of their shoulders, how big their shoulders are, how big their butts are. They're just men. Like they look like Geelong looked like grand final day with Selwood, Danger, like Guthrie. Like they were just big men against boys of Freo. They were crunching them. And like Andrew Brayshaw's a gun and all this. He just didn't look like he could compete with them. And so that's what, that's another reason Dacos is having one of the best seasons we've ever seen, because he just gets, while these boys crash in, he's the best kick in the AFL and the fittest bloke in the AFL. He just runs around and dominates because they don't win contested ball against those Bulls.
Nah, and then Tom Mitchell.
The sub, he's a big body, a big man's body. Like, they were just too strong.
Like Jamie Elliott as well. And I think Dan McStay is really going to be underrated in terms of an inclusion in. We've got Mychek to come back in, McStay as well. Now there's going to be pressure on those forward spots with Johnson.
Nathan Murphy doesn't put a foot wrong. Jeremy Howe's getting back into it. Darcy Moore was amazing again. Isaac Quaynor. I've been reluctant to say Collingwood are certain to win the grand final. Like, I'm not a hater. I just think I've seen some problems in their game.
Yeah, you just can't say it either.
But now, I can just see that they're playing in the grand final. I'm just like, I know they're playing in the grand final. Just their bodies on the MCG, they were just too big and strong. They just look like they've got preset. They're the best tackling team. the best skilled team, the cleanest, the quickest, the fittest. Like they've just got their whole program right now, and
Yeah.
it looks like the funnest culture to be a part of, the funnest team to play in. Like everything about it is just clicking that they're playing on grand final day.
Yeah, and just finishing off the Pies thing. Watching Darcy Moore play live, he was pretty quiet, but he is so good.
Yeah.
Like they just like he gives no respect, and yes, he can get found out like he did against Tex, but when he's on, then he's flying at the ball like,
and he
the hard man to stop.
Like if you were watching the TV, they were just laughing at how many intercept possessions he was having. He had 4 in the first quarter, 4 intercept marks, and they would just laugh every time Freo kicked it to him. They're like, Freo have to go a different avenue to go. Stop kicking it long to Darcy Moore because he cleans up everything, absolutely everything. So, yeah,
they did
bloody good win by the Pies. They're absolutely rolling. Got Port Adelaide next week, who I think sort of managed the game against the Blues because I reckon this is their grand final, Port Adelaide this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
They had 7 out against Carlton, so we'll see. Next game, Suns versus St Kilda. Gold Coast, after firing their coach midweek because they're not good enough, beat St Kilda by 26 points. Jack Lukosius, the prettiest kick in the AFL, kicked the first at $10.50. Stoi, I know you didn't see much of this game because you were obviously at the other game, but St Kilda had 11 scoring shots. They're a team in the top 8. They had 11 scoring shots. It was deplorable. Gold Coast just had their way with them. It didn't even look like a game. I was mainly watching Collingwood Fremantle and had this game on the laptop. I didn't need to watch it because St Kilda were doing nothing to make me watch. They're just not a top 8 team, and I don't think they're going to make it.
Nah, I think they're destined to be. I think they're starting to feel a bit like North, like 10, 15 years ago when you just stuck around like 6th to 10th and you're not actually doing anything of either way. And I'm just looking for, like their midfield's just not that great. They've got some good, like Wanganeen Miller is going to be decent. Sinclair obviously is going to be a jet. But you look through, like, is Gresham playing in a flag?
Yeah.
No. Like, they need to get trading. This is a really big off-season for them. And
that's one thing I look for, like premiership players, like guys you can see holding up the trophy on grand final day when your team wins, like Jimmy Webster,
Dan Butler,
Dougal Howard, Dan Butler, Brad Crouch won't be there.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I don't even know who Jade Paris is. Will Mason Wood be there? Will Jade Gresham be there? Will
they need
Cooper Sharman? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be a big clean house.
I love Wanganeen Malira. I love Mitch Owens. I love Philippou. I love Jack Sinclair. I like Rowan Marshall. Jack Steele's obviously, he's a good captain. Don't know if he's the best player. I think he's like a 3 in a good midfield. Like, if he's running around with DeGoey and Nick Day,
and Dacos,
he's Pendlebury. He can be your 3. He can be your distributor, your leader out there. I don't think he's the number 1 in any team in the AFL.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, that's disappointing by the Saints though. And I've been copping a bit of shit that I go a bit hard at the Saints. I'm gonna reserve a bit of judgment. They play North Melbourne next week. It's Brett Ratton's last game as North Melbourne's coach before Clarko comes back.
Yeah.
Saints extended Brett Ratton and then fired him to get Ross Lyon. If North Melbourne beats St Kilda, am I allowed to just take the chains off and go as hard as I want?
Right, I think that needs to be a monologue, almost Instagram live sort of territory, and just go. If they do that, sack Ross.
North Melbourne have won 4 games in 2 years, Stoi.
Did you watch today?
It was horrible.
Foul. It was like foul.
But they've got North Melbourne next week. I can't wait because I've been copping it from the Saints. And all they say is, where are the Swans on the ladder? And so it's the worst call ever. The Saints and Swans should never be in the same conversation. We are like 50 years ahead of them in where.
And you'll finish higher than them on the ladder, I reckon.
Yeah, well, if we do, I can.
You'll be licking your lips.
Yeah, go as nuts. I'll do some odds because we forgot odds in the Collingwood game.
Yeah, there you go.
So Rory Atkins kicked 2. You couldn't even bet on him for 1, what I'm looking at. What else? Lukosius kicked 4. He paid $6.50 for 4. Norans.
What about Sam Flanders for 30?
Who's that, sorry?
Sam Flanders had 33.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I'll get that up for you. Pick your own.
There's going to be no chance. Whilst you're getting those up, geez, Damien Hardwick's like there's the pieces there. There really
Noah
is.
Anderson, another $25, $30 for 25. Sam Flanders, here he is. What did he say for 30? He only paid $3.20 for 30. He must be getting a bit of ball lately. Rory Atkins, where's Rory Atkins? Could get him at 8-1 for 30. That would have been nice with 2 snags.
Nice, that'd be handy.
Big day.
We just need one of those to hit.
Touk Miller, $25, $1.72 for 25. He's back. This is his second game up. He's ready to go again. You look at the ladder. I haven't even looked at Gold Coast schedule, but they're on the same points as Adelaide. 2 in front of the Swans. They're 1 game behind GWS. They can jump above Carlton. They've got Carlton again. I can see them being one of the teams that sneak in. If you think St Kilda and Essendon are going to leave the 8 and the Dogs, someone's got to.
So they got big game next week. They got the Giants. That's probably an elimination final, really, isn't it?
Final for sure.
And then they've got Brisbane and Adelaide. So and then Sydney.
They're basically starting finals now. They've got an elimination final starting next week. Next game.
Geez, second last week of the round. Imagine it's Gold Coast Carlton for 8th. That'd be all time.
Carlton versus Port Adelaide. Carlton by 50 points. Jack Silvani kicks the first at 19-1. You and me got this one horribly wrong, Stoi. Talk to me.
Yeah, and I copped it from Darcy, probably rightly so, but geez, they look good, the Blue Boys.
Yeah,
I don't know what Vossi's putting in the waters now down at Carlton Land, but geez, they look good. And I think there's never a question on their A graders.
Yes.
Cripps, Walsh, Curnow. I even think Mackay's probably still an A grader, but they've just got these players. Yeah, they've got A graders, but these are the players that have stepped up. Newman played unreal. Paddy Dow actually had a dip for once. Hewitt, Akers, and that's where they're going to be a good team. They're not going to be a good team from them stars playing well.
I knew they were going to win the game as soon as Jesse Motlop kicked a crumb goal. I say this to Morgan Darst. I've never seen Jesse Motlop kick a crumb goal as a small forward. I've never seen him pick it up off the deck and snap a goal until yesterday. And as Morg said in one of our group chats, he goes, pigs must be flying just kick a crumb goal. It's the first time I've ever seen him kick crumb, and he kicked 4 at halftime. I knew they were going to win. But to be fair, when you did say that take that went on Instagram about, do we know who Carlton are? They're terrible. Port Adelaide won 14 in a row. That was we film on Thursdays. It comes out Friday. I listened to Kane and Kingy Friday morning, and Kane said Port Adelaide have basically conceded. They had 7 changes. They left 7 guys at home. They've nearly conceded this game to worry about the Pies next week. And he's like, I can't see Port winning this game at all. Blues are certainties, basically. They're worrying about Collingwood. And if I knew that, I probably wouldn't have backed you up as much, and we wouldn't have gone as hard as.
Yeah, scheduled loss.
Really scheduled.
In saying that, there's no planet on Earth. I said there's no place on Earth or no time again where Silvani and Motlop are kicking 4 each. So, Baggers, you can come at me for 1 week, but I'm not still believing. I'm still reckon you miss it in the 8. And, lightning strikes in a bottle once, but who they got next week? They'll probably butcher that.
What will be funnier? Last year, when they sat top 4 all year, lost the last 3 games of the year by under a goal and missed the 8 by a point, or this year when they're one of the worst teams in the league, they get hot and then they miss the 8 again by a point.
To see the heartbreak on the Carlton fans, last game of the year against GWS, just to get their ass whooped, and the Pies will spank them in a couple of weeks' time, and I think that'll really be the reality call they all need.
To be fair, I just can't stop thinking about it. Ever since we met Paddy Cripps, and he said to Das, he's like, there's nothing wrong internal. We're still so confident. And now they look like they're even playing like Collingwood more. They're enjoying the game like Collingwood more. They're a bit freer. They've taken the shackles off. They're a totally different team. And they're actually good to watch now. They just get numbers there, attack the game, quick inside 50s. People are playing their roles. A graders playing like A graders. So I'm happy for them. They are back for sure. 4 in a row.
Yeah, but they'll be in Bali in September.
But yeah, I don't think they're playing for us. Right, I'll give you some odds. So Silvani kicked 4. He paid 46-1 to kick 4. Geez, that would have been nice. And who was the other one to kick 4? What's his name?
I think Motlop.
Where is it?
Surely you wouldn't even be able to bet on that.
Oh, you can't even get him for 1. Was he he was a late in. When I screenshotted the markets, he wasn't playing and he was a late in because Vossi was laughing he was having a meat pie at halftime. So Jesse, yeah.
He
So
might,
Silvani, that 46-1 for Silvani kick four would have been nice. Charlie,
I reckon.
he was huge. Charlie Kenner, 3 goals, $1.80 for 3, could have been 5. Cottrell 2, he paid $7.50 for 2. That would have been nice. Cripps
He's a
1, and then disposals. Dan Houston had 41.
40. He's a gun.
He's,
Is he? He's just a walk-up start in the halfback flank, isn't
yeah,
he?
well, it depends. Like Dacos, they'll put Dacos on the halfback because then they can pick another midfielder. They won't pick a midfielder.
100%.
Like Jack Sinclair's probably all Australian good. Dan Houston might take his spot. Like it's going to be tough that half.
Yeah. And are they going to have 3 wingers in the All-Australian team? I reckon they have to.
Oh, I don't reckon Nick Martin will make it. No,
No.
I don't reckon. I don't want to be that guy that's an Essendon hater, but I don't think. Guess what Dan Houston paid for 40 touches, Stoi?
Oh, I actually have no idea.
71-1.
No way.
70. You think
he's getting 30s all the time.
Try and stack legs to get a multi going to get anything near 15-1, and you could have just backed Dan Houston to 71. Connor Ramsey had 28-2. He paid $1.72 for 25, and don't know what he paid for 2. I'll get that up later. But
could Butters miss All Australian?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think there's got to be a bench spot for Butters, but a bit of a take from the Shark. I don't want to burn his segment on the pod. No one will be listening to this anyway, Story, but I reckon Rosie might be finishing higher than Butters in the Brown Lane, which was a quality.
He plays votes.
Rosie's definitely polled more consistent than Butters. Butters just had 8 weeks where he was just 10 coaches' votes every week. Fuck, but Rosie could have 2 every game they won from round 1 to bloody round thing. So good win by the Baggers, 4 in a row. Next game, Geelong versus Essendon. Geelong get it done by 77 points. Lionel Messi Myers kicked the first at 34-1. Story, I didn't see a second of this game. I was watching Adelaide GWS. I was having dinner. I didn't see any of this game. As soon as it popped up on the screen, it was 46-1 at one stage. I just thought there's no point watching. So you got anything for me on this game?
Oh, not much, but I know Dad sent me a WhatsApp. We've got a punters club, just me and him, and he said, "Oh, mate, do you want to have 50 on Essendon for the win?" Oh, yeah, maybe. So I didn't believe in it, but then, geez, when I got me Guzman and Gomez, checked the score, and it was 48-1. There's 50 on never get back. But we called it, Jev, you called it. Tom Hawkins to have a day out. What did he have? 5. He had 8 scoring shots. He probably would have given away about 4 or 5. And he just bullied them. Him at GMHBA is ridiculous.
Yeah. I think I was one of them. I can't remember my exact words. I think I might have been one of them. But how done and old did Hawkins look at the start of the year? Remember when the Blues beat him early, Pies beat him early? He was moving like thingy. But they say at Geelong, like, those old boys don't start pre-season until about 2 weeks before round 1.
Nah.
Their season is their pre-season, so they're primed come finals. And isn't he just starting to just put a nice season together?
He's literally going to go down as one of the best forwards that's ever played. He just doesn't, he'll play next year for sure.
Oh, for sure. So he kicked 5, went in for 2 at $1.42. For 5, he was 10-1. That would have been so nice.
That's backable.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Especially down at, and same with Tyson Stengel. Tyson Stengel was nearly dropped. He was All-Australian last year. I have a feeling he got dropped early in the year, or they said he was injured, but he wasn't good enough to get in the side. He kicked 5 last week, 3 this week. He's starting to find his mojo. He paid $4.80 for 3. Brad Close is on fire. Like, all these guys, everyone that wrote Geelong off have to be regretting it because they're now 5th on the ladder. They're timing their run to absolute perfection. They're not going to make they're too far from making 4, but they are just timing their run to perfection at the moment.
And I'm just looking at their leading disposal getters. Holmes 33, Atkins 28, Myers 26, Guthrie 24, and then it goes down to some more well-known names. But you're doing that with Stewart being quiet, Danger being quiet, Cameron quiet. They're just a team you don't want to play. It's just ridiculous.
So Max Holmes for 30 was 14-1. That would have been nice. Atkins for 25 was $6.75. That would have been nice. And Graham Morris for 25 was $3.80. So you could have made some nice money. Essendon, is this a mulligan for the Bombers or is this alarming?
I haven't been a believer in the Bombers, I must admit. I don't know. There's something I just don't see them winning a final. So I think they're on the right track. I don't know if they need to do a few things with their list, and maybe like their key backs are pretty average. They need to upgrade. I don't know how they do that. Like maybe they go hard after
I don't
Himmelberg.
hate their back line like Ridley, Mason Redmond, Laverty, but they're missing their one that then they all go down a rung sort of
Yeah,
in
100%.
their centre back, they're Darcy Moore, so then everyone goes down a rung. But yeah, this, like they say systems win premiership. You've got to have your system right. And you can see Essendon are working on their system to win a premiership. But when you come up against the best, like you come up against Geelong, you realise their system probably isn't ready yet to win a prelim final or make a prelim final yet. It will be. It will be good after a couple more pre-seasons under Brad Scott. But when you get a hiding like that, it goes, right, we're maybe not in the premiership business. We'd love to sneak into a prelim, but we're not going to win the premiership. Maybe I don't think they'll win a final either, especially if they finish 8th. Geelong finish.
Yeah, whoever eighth's a death wish. You've got to get to 7 and 6. And I reckon, and I think you think back to what the expectations were around Essendon at the start of the season. Like I think I had them like easy bottom 4.
Yeah, bottom 4. So
I think whatever they've done is a win. I guess you could say the same for the Saints. I think what hurts the Saints though is they just started so hot with so many players out. You're like, fuck. If you get King back, you get Membry back, you get all these players back. Still, then we're on.
One thing I've noticed is like I don't know how high you rate Zach Merritt in this league. I do rate him, but
yeah,
Chris Scott and Geelong must rate him because they've gone after him both times they've played him this year. They don't tag usually, and they've gone after him. He's only had 18 touches against Geelong both times. So just sort of shows like other opposition coaches, especially the best coach in the league must go, yeah, this guy can play because so he's a good player. Good player. Next game, Adelaide versus GWS. GWS steal it. Well, not steal it, just outplay him at the end by 14 points. Rory Laird kicked the first at 41-1, Stoi. We both watched a bit of this game. Talk to me.
Oh, your man, Jeff. I was thinking when I was watching Toby Green just get it done in the last quarter and a half, who would be the one player you'd want to play with the most? And it's either him, Maynard, or Viney for me, walking out to a prelim final. Those three, and especially Toby as captain, just like, fuck, he's such a gun. What do you have? Three snags, 20 touches, assisted the game winner.
Yeah.
And he's just one of those players that, as we speak about, like Norm Smith medal written all over him.
Oh, God, he's a gun. For his size, he's such a gun. And now teams try and stop him from kicking goals, so now he just impacts games other ways. Every touch he has, centre forward, turns to goal. Like, he's just an absolute gun of this competition. I had him tier 2 of my pyramid. Like, I had him as the third best player in the league, basically, and it's hard to argue with. Like, how good is he?
Yeah, and he's just so unlike, you could look at most other players, say, below him, and you go, oh, would he like start in Collingwood's midfield or whatever? He's playing in every single team's half-forward flank without even a question.
I reckon GWS are going to have a Collingwood-like season next year. Their list is absolutely fucked. Like, Sam Taylor's nearly the best key back in the league behind Darcy Moore. That Jack Buckley, their other one, is an absolute gun. Whitfield off the half-back line, Connor Iden, Harry Himmelberg. Then they've got Cal Ward, Josh Kelly, Stephen Cornelio, Toby Green, Tom Green.
Even that Kieran Blurridge.
And then they've got like Brent Daniels, Jesse Hogan, Dan Lloyd. They've got role players everywhere. Like, their list is absolutely fucked. They're a team you don't want to be playing. The only time they've been blown out this year was Collingwood on the MCG, and it was just showed how good Collingwood are. Since then, they've been in every single game they've played in. They were down at three-quarter time against the Crows. They just defended their arse off all quarter and then kicked the only 5 goals in the last quarter. Like, they are Australia's team. They are great to watch.
Yeah, and they're probably like, in the last 8 weeks or so, they're probably the best, like one of the best teams in the comp. Their backline, all blokes, you wouldn't know if they put, as Morgan would say, major subway. Yeah. Like, they'd walk down Sydney and no one would know who they are, but they just dominate and they get the job done. And as you said, I got right down here, I think we've forgotten about Whitfield, Kelly, Cornelio for a while.
Yeah.
They're fucking good players. And they're primed to make a run next year.
I heard Stevie J on the Sunday Footy Show today. He goes, Connor Iden, I would not know him if he made my subway, legit. He goes, he is Geelong's Isaac Quainer. He does not lose one-on-ones. He plays on that smaller forward, the resting mid, whatever, and just does not lose. And you're like, they're the guys you need to win premierships. And like another indicator on how good a team is, like if you can go to GMHBA Stadium and win. So like Essendon lost by 77 points. The Swans lost by 94 points. The Crows got done there. The Giants went to GMHBA this year and won. Like that is impressive.
Yeah, 100% there. And they're probably the ones I actually want them to get to either 6th or 7th. I'd love like them versus the Dogs in the first final.
Yeah.
It would be awesome. Like I don't want them to come up against the Cats.
Yeah.
Because I want them to then go through to the next one. Because I reckon, geez, they've got that bit of that people's teams about them. Like everyone would get behind them. I reckon.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely love watching them. Some odds, some stats. What have I got here? Sorry, I'll get something up. Give me some stats and I'll read them to you.
Yeah, so there's probably not much really jumps out, but I'm trying to have a look now. What about who's Shane McAdam? What's he paying for at any time?
Shane McAdam for one he's only $1 something. Shane McAdam was $1.26 fine. He must kick one every week.
$1.26, he must be all right.
Tobes for 3. He's a $2.18.
What did you get for what about Whitfield for 25?
Whitfield for 25 was 25, $2.18. Geez, that would have been nice.
That's not bad. Sam Taylor for 20.
Sam Taylor, $26.75.
Jeez, he must be taking care. That's a great
also said in the Sunday Footy Show. So Tex got a hold of Sam Taylor in the first half, and he was taking marks and bumping him on the way through. It was good to watch. I don't think Tex had a second half possession. Like
Jeez.
He didn't have one. I know it was the last quarter for sure. He had 0 touchdowns. I think they said he didn't have a second half possession. Sam Taylor put the clamps on him and then had 20 of himself. Set up stuff. He is a star. He is the most underrated player. He has to be the most underrated player in the comp. Like,
he's just going to be a lock for Australian for the
next 5
years.
He's got a very clean-cut look, like looks like the guy you'd want your daughter to marry, and he's just a gun. Absolutely.
Love that.
Hawthorn versus North Melbourne. We don't need to go over this game too much. The Hawks win by 48 points. North are absolutely horrible. Darcy Tucker kicked the first at unknown odds. I didn't really screenshot much this game, Stoi, so talk to me what you saw in this one.
Yeah, I watched probably the first half, just because I had a couple of multis going on. But, geez, this is if you wanted to showcase AFL footy, you wouldn't be showing this game. It was just turnover. I think it was like 26-25 at like halfway through the second, and they were just murdering the pill. It was just two teams that are so far from it. Like having been at Collingwood yesterday and going to that, just like fuck, they're far off. But I did think, Hawks, but then again, like you can see the building blocks for Hawks, but I can't really see it for North.
Well,
like I really struggle to see. They've got some good mids, but like they're not. Newcomb, Amon's been unreal since he's come there. Warple, Ward, Day, Sicily back. I think Sicily is close to a 6-goal player. Just in terms of how they set up. The Souvlaki really struggled. He only had 1 snag for the day. And Hawthorn just ran right. And then by the end, I think North were just cooked. They've only had 10 scoring shots for the day. Hawks had 28. And I think that tells the story a bit more than what the score does.
Yeah, for sure. And this was second last versus third last, and they're nowhere near each other. Like, everyone knows the Hawks are a good, bad team that once they get experience, they're going to be really fucking good.
Yeah.
They need Clark. Oh, I know some people, they need Clarko back north. And I know Kane Corns goes so hard at North Melbourne, and then people call up SEN and go, you're too harsh on North Melbourne. Corns goes, how? They've won 4 games in 2 years. 2 games last year, 2 games this year. They haven't won since round 2. It's round 18, so they're on a 16-game losing streak. Like, they're horrendous.
And just the way they play, like Hawks play exciting footy. Yeah. And hang on, when you get the talent and you're a bit mature, you can see how this is going to work. But what do North stand for? King says this all the time. Nothing. Like
you can see
they blow over a stiff breeze.
The Hawks know you got to kick goals to win premierships, and they're always trying to get speed on the ball and kick a lot of goals in a game. A lot of scoring shots, a lot of inside 50 pressure. Like, you can see that's a thing. Sam Mitchell doesn't teach defence. Like, he's just teaching them to go, kick goals. Like, they're going to be a good side when they become good. But, geez, North,
Yeah,
Everyone loves North's good players, but they're fucking horrible.
And there's just not enough of them. Like, I'm sorry, but there's just not.
I only
And you look through like
goal scorers in this one. So Mitch Lewis was $1.64 for 3. Luke Bruce, $2.33. I said Luke Bruce was one of the best bets of the weekend. My Mac is about to die, Stoi, so we're going to wrap this up. The Tigers are up by 25 points in the last quarter. They were actually having to crack the Eagles. It was good to watch. Bailey Williams kicked the first at 34-1. I've had it on and off this game. Like, Richmond are going to win, so I haven't really been watching too much. Oscar Allen's kicked 3. What a play. He's only had 4 touches, 3 goals. Marlon Pickett
just kicked his forward.
Shai Bolton's kicked 1 goal, 4, had 20 touches. He's starting to get in pyramid form. Actually, I think he has to be in the pyramid. His last month has been unbelievable. Dan Rioli, 24 touches. Yeah, we all know.
Just a punch in, punch out job from Richmond. No, just get away. No injuries.
Yeah,
Broad's injured though. It was a big loss.
Yeah, so they're going to win this game, Richmond. Then they're in the top 800. It's just unbelievable. It's going to be a hell of a finish to the year.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And geez, I'm looking forward to seeing Das.
Yeah, he's going to be good. All right, hell of a pod, Stoi. Pies next week against Adelaide. Geez, that'd be a good game to go to. Who are the Swans? I'm just going to quickly look. I don't think we've got the Bombers or the Crows. The Swans have Freo at Freo next week. So
maybe 2 of the Parky 2's got more important.
Parky 2's have Old Carey. I don't usually travel that far, so I'm a bit 50-50. Who have Korean got?
We've got Q, so hopefully we can get a dub and then knock them out of contention. Yeah. And we both charge through to September.
You're secured in the top 4, and you'll be playing finals. Hopefully, Parky do the same. Good week, Story. Good week. See you in a couple of weeks when you're back on the pod. Dar's back this week. Can't wait to have him back. Goodbye.